Welcome to the first episode of What Does Bokey Mean to You? Sanford, a small city with a big heart. I am your host, Farah. Today, we're going to be talking about all things Bokey. I'm so glad that you're tuning in today. My very special guest today is Commissioner Sheena Britton. Listen in as she shares about Bokey, home, history, and tradition. You won't want to miss this episode. Hey, happy Sunday, everybody. I am so excited because a lot of you all have been hearing me talk about this. This is my very first episode of What Does Bokey Mean to You? Sanford, a small city with a big heart. And I have my very first special guest, Commissioner Sheena Britton of District 1. And listen, Mrs. Bokey herself, I had to have her as my first guest because the city of Sanford, so many of you all see me out in my city. You know how much I talk about it. So I'm a Brooklyn girl, so I always say, take the girl out of Brooklyn and put her in Bokey. And so I don't plan on going anywhere. I know this, moving to Florida was a little bit rough for me and a little bit rocky in a sense where just getting my footing and my bearings. But now that I'm in Sanford, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I love my city. So this podcast is meant to highlight my city. It's meant to highlight Sanford. So Bokey, we're going to get into that word Bokey because I know so many of you all are like, what is she talking about?
Yeah.
And Commissioner Britton is going to share with us where that term came from. And then I'll share a little bit about how I got to hear about that term. But I want to share a little bit about Commissioner Britton first. So she's a fourth generation Sanford native. Sheena Britton's roots run deep in the community. Born and raised in historic downtown Sanford, she has lived in the city for 42 years, carrying forward a family legacy that dates back to the 1800s. Married to Morris, Sheena is a proud mother of three daughters, Kiya, Haley, and Terri. Her oldest daughter is a graduate of HBCU Bethune Cookman University. Her middle daughter is a junior at HBCU Florida A&M University, and her youngest at Seminole State College. Commissioner Britton's service to the city of Sanford began in 2010 as an employee dedicated to the community and economic development. Her passion for equitable access to resources and opportunities for all residents, regardless of their background, has been a hallmark of her work. She is also known for her active presence at community events where she consistently promotes the inclusion and vibrant Sanford lifestyle. Commissioner Britton's contributions extend beyond her official duties. She serves on several boards, including the Sanford Museum Board, the Central Florida Homeless Service Network. She is also a native member of organizations such as the NAACP, and she participates in the City of Sanford Adopt a Park program, which she and her family maintain Red Barber Park. A staunch advocate for small businesses, Sheena was recognized as one of Black Businesses Orlando's top 21 influential people in 2021 and has graced the covers of the Bokey magazine, My Sanford magazine, Radiantly Black, and the Orlando Times. In 2022, she transitioned from being an appointed commissioner to an elected one, becoming the first elected Black commissioner for District 1. Commissioner Britton embodies Sanford, Bokey, live, work, play ethos. Her deep pride and unwavering support for the city are evident in her actions and words. And social media, find her on there. When asked to describe Sanford, she simply says, "It's my home and I'm proud and I'm in support of it." Yeah. Welcome my first guest, Commissioner Sheena Britton.
Yes. Hey y'all.
Mrs. Bokey. So, Sheena, I was sharing with you when I first heard the word Bokey, I didn't know what it meant. I thought that it was a negative term. And I started doing some research and picking through it. And in talking to some friends, I found out that there were so many amazing stories that came out of that word. And I said, I want to do a podcast on this. I want to highlight not only my city, but the people who live in it and their stories. And when I talked to you the other day, you had so much knowledge and information about the city of Sanford and the word Bokey and how endearing it is for this city and what that word is. It reminds me of hip hop, right? Hip hop was our thing, right? So when I say our thing, it was born in our neighborhoods, but it's taking on this life of its own. And I feel Bokey reminds me of that. I was out, I don't know, I was bringing something back to the store the other day, and there was a cute little cheerleader, a little white girl with a shirt that says Bokey on it, and I just laughed because I'm like, I know that term was born within the African American city, and now the whole city has embraced it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what does Bokey mean to you?
Well, I mean, Bokey to me means home. So if it was in the Webster's dictionary for Sheena Britton, Bokey is home. Now you have, you know, several Sanford historians that have different meanings or different stories of where it came from.
Yes.
I'm from Midway, and
because I've been looking for this word.
Right.
And looking, I've been on Google, I've been on everything. And so I said, you know what? I want to go to the source, the people.
It's more so like slang, to be honest. Frances Oliver, she is the founder and curator of the Goldsboro Museum. She has her definition of what Bokey means. I grew up in Midway, and my family has been here for 4 generations. Gotcha. So this is how the story was told to me of where Bokey came from, and then why I use it in my business name, tattoos on me, everything, right?
I'm about to get a new tattoo. So Bokey may have to be somewhere in there.
So the city of Sanford, again, established in 1877, was known for celery. That's why we have the nickname of the Celery City, right? And so Henry Sanford came here, established it, and we were very popular for that. We had orange groves, and because we're right on the St. Johns River, Lake Monroe, that body of water that opens out, that's a part of the St. Johns River. Now, the St. Johns River flows all the way to Jacksonville, right?
So for my friends who come here who always ask me, does this go to an ocean? You're getting some good information here.
Yeah, it does go out to the ocean. It does. But it flows north to Jacksonville. And so we had the steamboats and the shipping and all of that through the St. Johns River, right? And because Sanford, I believe back then it was Mosquito County, but it was on this beautiful lakefront with lush greenery, beautiful, you know, celery. And on this beautiful lake, there was lots of boats.
Got it.
And then it was called first originally the Beautiful Key.
The Beautiful Key.
Right?
Okay.
And then it became slang for the African Americans that worked in the celery fields as the Boat Key. That's where the boats were coming, you know, in. And then you started to say, okay, I'm from Bokey. Bokey. And it just slang became Bokey. And then it kind of went away until like the early 90s. There was some African Americans that had a radio station on Celery Avenue.
Right where I live. Right
there was an old radio station there, and they would play music and stuff like that, and they brought it back.
And it's
Bokey.
still there. Can somebody open up that radio station? I've been wondering about that because it has that huge satellite. It used to be the home of the gospel train, the Sunday morning gospel train, and then in the evenings there were a couple of young guys that would you know, play the latest hip hop, R&B, or whatever, the New Jack Swing era of music, right? And then they would showcase, you know, local artists here in Sanford. And so they started saying Bokey often, which brought it back to a different generation. Got it.
And then so people of that younger generation were saying, I'm from Bokey.
Okay.
And then
so they took it from Beautiful City to Bokey. To Bokey.
From Beautiful Key.
Beautiful Key.
Boat Key.
Yes.
Boat Key, Bokey.
Wow.
Right? And then so
where are these 90s kids? Where are they at?
I believe where
are you guys at? I want to meet you.
I think it was like 3 guys. Leroy McClendon would be able to tell you.
Okay. Yeah, because he did music.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well he was doing the morning show, the gospel train. Wow. So he would be able to tell you those guys there. And I remember it so because they would say Bokey.
You know, this is funny because I'm gonna call out Pastor McClendon because we were just having this conversation. Bonnie said that he will put some kind of little song on every morning, and I didn't know which radio station it was.
Yeah.
It's this radio station.
Yeah, radio
that's
station.
So funny.
Yeah, it was an AM radio station, I believe. And it was like very popular, you know, because like in the 90s, you know, there wasn't streaming and stuff like that.
Yes.
So to be able to hear your homeboy, your homegirl, or whatever, you know, shout you out on the radio, that was a big deal, you know, back in the days of 102 Jams and all of that great stuff.
How many times did you get shouted out?
Not many, because I was younger then, right? And then so like, and I grew up in a very strict household, so we weren't allowed to listen to secular music.
Oh, that's right. right. That's right. Yes.
Yeah, but I was still, you know, me and my sister, we was still, you know, here. And they were very respectful, so it wasn't like, you know, profanity or anything. It was just like, you know, the SWV and all of the good music or whatnot. And then there were like a couple of, you know, small groups, doo-wop groups and stuff like that. And so they would shout them out. And then you started hearing Bokey. And then so in the 2000s, it caught on even more. Okay. And so Seminole High School started bringing it back out to like, you don't want to mess with us. We not just Sanford. We Bokey, baby.
We Bokey.
And then, you know, after like the, you know, Trayvon Martin issue happened, and then, you know, we became this city nationwide. Yeah. We begin to say, hey, you know, we're very popular. We're not what CNN says that we are. Yes. We're Bokey. Bokey to the bone, baby. Yes. And that's where that came from. And I've been in love with it forever.
Love it.
And so when I started my business, I named it the Bokey Girl.
Oh, wow.
And so literally when you go on to, you know, the legal websites, you'll see the Bokey Girl LLC. That's me. I'm transitioning, and so now it's going to be called the Sanford Style, because I'm trying to get into more corporate locations. Yeah. And I remember receiving one of an award for Black business, and they were like, Sheena Britton, and she has the business Bokey. And I was like,
you just totally messed that up, man.
That's not it. And but when I got on that stage, I yelled it out. No. Bokey, baby. Yes. And so, you know, as you grow, you have to do, you know, but I will never leave Bokey. Bokey will always be in my title name. It'll just be the Bokey Girl doing business as the Sanford Style. And that again, you have to grow. Yeah. And my business is growing, and so the more commercial projects I take, I just want to make sure that is there. But I love it. I mean, I have Sanford, you know, tattooed 1877.
Yes. And I want to talk about that because I had no idea. You were telling me about the establishment and the name Sanford, and you know, what was it before that?
Well, it wasn't a full city. So Henry Sanford, that's where we get the name Sanford from his name, Henry Sanford. Yeah. And so he was the founder of the city of Sanford. So that's where Sanford was. Before that, we didn't have a name. Yeah. We were in the county, and again, I believe now, Francis Oliver would have to check me, or Pasha Baker, but I believe we were Mosquito County before we became Seminole County. But we had a African American neighborhood, which was Goldsboro. Yes. And so it takes people like Pasha Baker, the curator for the Goldsboro Museum, and Francis Oliver, that can give you all of that deep history about, you know, how this Goldsboro was incorporated into the city of Sanford. But just like Eatonville, which was our sister city, because of their two founders, you know, that's Bokey right there, the Goldsboro, and then our Georgetown area, which is our two predominantly Black historic areas. Even in Georgetown, you have the historic AME churches that are on the National Register for Florida. You know, so there's so much rich history, and I'm just really happy that the next generation is so proud of it. Oh yeah, it makes me so happy, like when you see Seminole High School and the back of their jerseys say Bokey. Yeah, you know, I'm
ready to get me some Bokey gear. I believe that I heard there was a gentleman who's in town that does Bokey gear.
Yes, he does. I have a Letterman jacket that has Bokey on it and Bokey on the sleeves. 3 years ago for Christmas, I got my girls all Bokey Letterman jackets. Oh wow. You know, because I'm proud of it. I really am. I don't know where the negative came from when you hear Bokey, but it's our nickname for a place that we love so much, and it's gone from generation to generation.
It's beautiful. So how'd your family get here?
So again, my family has been here for a very long time. My grandmother, Mary, came from the Florida Panhandle. And then she came here and she started a family, and she met a gentleman named Joseph. So my great grandparents are Mary and Joseph.
That is so funny.
Yeah. And so, and the great thing about Sanford, just like so many other cities, is everybody's related to somebody in some kind of way.
Yeah.
And so I am a Britton because of my father, but the people that are here in Sanford are Blakes.
Got it.
So
okay.
I am a Blake and a Lee. My grandmother is a Lee, and she married a Blake,
okay.
and we're also Hillarys as well. So
wow.
if that's a third of Sanford there.
That sounds like a third of Sanford.
Yeah, it is. So Mary and Joseph were here, and then they call it's the 12 tribes of Mary and Joseph because of their children.
Yeah.
And my grandmother Eunice was Mary's daughter, and then she had my mother Terri, and then there's me, and then I gave birth to 3 Sanfordites myself.
Wow.
And I was born right downtown Sanford. So I'm one of what I call the unicorns.
Yes.
That means that I was born here, raised here, and my family was born and raised here too.
Yes.
So I love to wear that little badge. I'm a unicorn.
Yeah.
You know, and there's so many people that come to Sanford, and I love to say you're grandfathered in, because that doesn't mean that you love Sanford any less.
Yes.
But I just got one up on you.
And it's funny because I love my city. I love where I'm from, but I'm trying to figure out what is it about Sanford that's made me fall so in love that I love talking about it. I love being outdoors. I love meeting my neighbors. And I want to share about this little city. I feel like all roads lead to Sanford.
Right. Because you actually arrived in what I call, you know how like in the 1920s when there was like the uprising of just, you know, new music and fashion and everything. Well, you've come to Sanford when we're on this path of ingenuity and economic development. Business development, you're seeing lots of new homes here, even though I'm cautious about that because I want to make sure that with this development that we have enough resources for that. But you're able to say, you know what, Sanford is a wonderful place, but I can actually put my stamp on it as well while they're growing, even though we have been here for since 1877. But in the last 10-15 years we've begun to grow, and things have changed for the better for Sanford. I mentioned this earlier, but Sanford is one of the few cities in Florida that has everything, which is the interstate, the Central Florida Zoo. We're on the St. Johns River. We have the Amtrak. We have a Sunrail, an international airport. Other than Jacksonville, you don't have that. Even when you go down to Miami and stuff, you know, we have all of that in this small city.
And it feels so good to come through the city. And I love how you can come through our city and you feel like you're in a different part of time in every little pocket. You know, you have the historic district, you have Goldsboro, you have you know, my area down near Midway. Every piece looks different, but it's all joined together.
Right. And we're fortunate to be able to have that, because there are cities that have a small historic district, but you don't get to see it like how our downtown is, right? When you go down First Street and it actually takes you back in time, but yet you're still currently here. And then when you want to take a step away, that beautiful waterfront there.
My gosh.
And most people don't even know that it's there. I mean, the city, in partnership with Seminole County and the St. Johns River Water Management District and other, other different entities, created the first and second phase of the Riverwalk. And so now you can connect and go all the way around Lake Monroe. And it is, the scenery is beautiful. To be able to see the steamboat, the Robert Lee, out there. And when you just need to get away from it all, you can be within your home and see what I call paradise. But yet you're removed enough away from the big hustle and bustle of what is Kissimmee, of what is Daytona Beach. But yet at any time you can say, you know what, I'm going to put on some shiny shoes and I'm going to Kissimmee. Or, we're going to take a weekend and we're going to go on the coast. But you can come back to what is this quaint little city, but that's so full of life, of energy, and history as well.
So what made you stay here?
Well, I became a city commissioner. And it's just, I love, I'm not a big traveler. Like, I don't want to get on a plane and go, you know, I don't
see, I love to travel, but I love to come back home. And so when I see people, and that's what intrigued me about Sanford and Bokey, is that people who told me that they went away to school and they had these jobs and they came back here. And I'm like, why?
Because it's home.
Yeah,
there is a sense of home here.
Yeah.
And I know other cities, you know, have that to where, you know, you feel proud. I know New Yorkers, you know, love to say, I'm from New York.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
But what keeps me here is because my people are here. And I said this on another podcast that we had, was that it's my history. I don't know anything else.
Yes.
I know my grandmother came from the Panhandle. I know that there's a little bit of Indian blood in us, but really everything that's embedded, everything that makes up Sheena is in the city of Sanford. And so I want to make sure that I leave my name here, that when I'm gone, people know that I was here and I made a difference while I was here. And I don't believe it's in God's plan for me to go any other place, because I can be an asset right here. And I have 3 daughters who have left, going off to college. My daughter is in her master's program. She's already graduated from Bethune Cookman, but I said, make sure when you go, you bring skills back to Sanford. My middle girl is in Tallahassee at Florida A&M. Both of them went to HBCUs. I want her to come back. Now, I will never say you have to live here in Sanford, but I believe that I have raised them with the love of community, with the love of family, and with the love of just dedication to where you're from. For them to be able to come back and say, okay, I went away, I got educated, and I'm going to bring my skills back to the city of Sanford, to the place not only my mother loves, but I have grown to love too. And they take that because they're 5th generations, and that's something to say. You know,
that's incredible. I mean, so what about your mom being here? Has she ever had because you know you said that your family traveled, you know, yearly, like, you know, for the revivals and stuff. Did she ever have an urge to say, oh, I want something different?
No, no, because she's just like me, but where I love government, she loves church.
Yes.
And so she has always been a part of the community in that aspect. Her and my father, they were, New Life Word Center was the church that we grew up in, and my parents were the head of the children's church. So they were known all over Sanford as Mr. and Mrs. Good News. And it was so funny because when I got to high school, because of people that used to come to children's church or vacation Bible school, they would think that my name was Sheena Good News.
Oh, that's
because
funny.
They knew Mr. and Mrs. Good News, not Mr. and Mrs. Britton.
Yes.
And that was just their name. And so, I mean, there were thousands of kids that would come to vacation Bible school every Saturday morning. Children's church parents would drop off their kids, and then the children would be ministered to with different activities that were, you know, biblical. Instead of Halloween, we had Hallelujah Night. So everybody in this area, again, this was pre-Game Boys, this was pre-streaming and stuff like that, when, you know, activities like Vacation Bible School or like going to church revivals were a big thing. It's where you would go to, you know, meet your friends. My parents also took over CIA, which was Christians in Action. So on Tuesday night, teenagers would be there. And so it was you know, you spoke to teenagers differently than you would speak to children.
Definitely.
And it wasn't necessarily all day Jesus, 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 but to how to carry yourself as a follower of Christ. So again, everybody knew my parents as Mr. and Mrs. Good News. So that's where they put their stamp on Sanford. And so they never had that real thing of, I wanted to go outside, but my parents also knew
they got everything here.
They had everything here, but my mom, she knew that there was something more than just Sanford. So that's how she connected me with Tajiri School of Performing Arts. And I always speak of the lady that inspired me, Miss Patricia Hitchman Merritt Watley. She took me to the places like New York, like Atlanta, to the Fox Theater, to, you know, Alvin Ailey. My first Broadway show was Bringing the Noise, Bringing the phone with Savion Glover. Being in every year, being a part of the Zora Neale Hurston Festival, opening up my eyes to more than just what Sanford has, because even though Sanford is a great place to live, work, and play, it's also great to expand your horizons as well. Definitely. And so my mom had that in her to say, okay, yes, we love Sanford, yes, we love the Lord, but let me put you in rooms to where you could learn from other people, which actually it has assisted me as an adult today.
So your mom, if I was to ask her what does Bokey mean to her, because that term, what do you think older people think when they hear that term? Are they okay with that? Because we talked about the 90s and going to the 2000s. But I feel like they're okay with that.
They are okay with it. They know what it is. Not many of them know where the details are. It's just like, okay, Bokey, It again, like I said, it kind of skipped a generation. It started in the earlies, and then it became slang, and then Sanford got swept up in other things, and then it came back again in the 90s. It was always there, but it wasn't as loud as it is.
It's loud now.
But just other cities have nicknames and whatnot. But this I will call the revival of Bokey came back in the late 90s or early 90s, and then in 2000s it became its own thing to say that we're not just Sanford, we're Bokey. And then I'm happy to see that it's no longer just a black thing. And now it's something that everybody is proud of. I was behind a black Ford Explorer, and the driver was white, and the bumper sticker had Bokey, and then it had roots, and it said, "My roots run deep." And I was like, "Oh my God!"
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
But this was a Caucasian, and so and that person is proud of Sanford, and to have Bokey on the back of their vehicle, it's pride. It's who we are, and then it's not so formal as saying Ford. I'm from Bokey. Don't play with me.
I love it. So, with your daughters, what would they? What is their experience? What is their thought process? You think if I was to ask them, what does Bokey mean to them?
The same thing.
Home. The same thing. Home.
Now they grew up in the highlight of Bokey. Okay. So Sanford is just Bokey. Period.
Yes, it's just that.
Yeah, they went to Seminole High School during the Bokey era. So it's if you tell them about the beautiful key, the Bokey, they don't care.
They don't care about that stuff.
I'm from Bokey. And but they happen to grow up in that generation of Bokey, and like I said, Seminole High School, which all of my girls went to, they they just ran with that as another way to show strength and pride. Bokey, we had I can't think of it's Gabe. I can't think of Gabe's last name, but he graduated from Seminole High School, went off to the NFL, the Buffalo Bills, and he has a tattoo on the back of his leg, and it's Sanford all the way down, and you see that in the practices on TV and the combine and all that, and it just shows that he's so proud. Jeff Blake, which happens to be one of my cousins, went off to the NFL. Played for the Cincinnati Bengals. They always said, "I'm from Sanford. I'm from Bokey." So it's just it's a sense of pride. But again, my girls, they there was no separation. It's been Bokey from the beginning.
So what do you think about the negativity that was placed on Sanford? Because the year that I moved here in 2013 to this area. That was during the time when everything happened with Trayvon Martin and all of that, and so that it kind of put a negative shadow over the community. I know that with me having a young brown boy and with my family, why did you move there? I got all those questions, and I'm like, but I don't see that. When you guys are watching the news, and our hearts go out to that family, to his mom. But what you guys are seeing, we're not seeing that on this side. We're seeing love, we're seeing community, that negative piece that, that was here, that lingering.
It was unfair. And I get frustrated about that because it was truly unfair, because even though it was an unfortunate situation, and again, like you said, my heart goes out to the Trayvon Martin family. That was an incident that happened between two people and not the whole city of Sanford. And Trayvon Martin, may he rest in peace, was not from Sanford.
Yes.
George Zimmerman was not from Sanford either.
Yeah.
And the location where it happened was right on the borderline of the city of Sanford and Lake Mary. It literally one street over, it would have been Lake Mary.
Yeah.
Not saying that that's anything different.
Yeah.
And so when that happened, you know, when the news got a hold to it and everything, our current mayor, our former mayor, Jeff Triplett, who has now passed on, they just they became overwhelmed at like with a media storm, and the Black Lives Movement happened here because of why was there not an arrest. You know, the family wanted to have to hear the audio tapes and all of that, and all of the injustice that happened there. But again, that was not the story of Sanford. And then you had it's so crazy, and I can say this, you know, without prejudice or anything, because I was actually here. You had people bust into Sanford. It was not Sanford residents out there yelling and screaming. People got on buses. They you know, we had Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton and radio hosts that came in and told us to boycott our businesses and stuff. That's not who we were. And in all of the issues that happen with Black Lives Matters and you know, police brutality and stuff like that, where people had to come and march and protest, when it happened here in Sanford, we had 0 arrests. We opened up our civic center. We opened up our city commission chambers. We made ourselves available to the public. We went to churches, we prayed, you know, African Americans were meeting, you know, together, holding hands in the middle of the street, and they didn't want to capture that. They just wanted to say, you know, our chief was racist, Chief Lee, and just like in any other city, he was doing his job. Now he got released. The commission had to release because they don't represent themselves, they represent the people, and that was the outcry from the people because they felt that things weren't done. I can neither say yay or nay to that. But I do know that the commission were doing their job because of the outcry from the people. I will never say that particular chief was racist or anybody that on the Sanford Police Department was. The city of Sanford has always been separate but together.
I feel like I'm for me, being someone who's not from here, and I've been here in this side of Sanford for 3 years, I feel togetherness. I feel community. I remember when all of that happened when I moved here, and my son was going to a school that was near where the incident happened. And the friend said, it was a friend of mine who worked with me. She was white, and she was like, Farrah, it happened. It broke all of our hearts. And like, you know, and she's like, but you know, your son is in a good spot. Like, you know, the school is there. This doesn't happen here.
It doesn't.
It doesn't happen here. You know,
and the issues that we face with Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman are the issues that they face with George Floyd and with Tamir Rice. They happen in other cities, and Sanford just happened to be one of the first. But it's not a place where you're not safe here. There was a bit of a separation because that just came with the culture of Sanford. You stayed on your side of the tracks. We ate at different restaurants. I will say that the Martin Zimmerman trial did bring us closer together because white business owners begin to say, well, they didn't come and protest our businesses. We did not have people tearing up, you know, our establishments. We didn't do that. They witnessed us praying. They witnessed us coming together. They appreciated the times when we came to the commission meeting and said, we don't like this, we don't like that. Do we have our issues? Yes. Just like any other city, but I'm not going to say that Sanford is just this racist place. We separated our own selves. Now, the thing about in Frances Oliver, who's someone that I truly admire, she said at one time, is just that it's sometimes difficult because the same people who didn't drink at the water fountain with you or didn't allow you into the restaurant are still alive today. So it's kind of hard to have that brotherly love there because you're still, you know, I'm not dead, and I wasn't allowed to go to school with you. Or I remember when we tried to, you know, have our dance at the Civic Center and we weren't allowed. people are still here today.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that's why it's just like, okay, well, you do your thing,
yeah,
and we'll do ours.
Mm-hmm.
We don't shun you,
yeah.
but we hang with. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, but you know what? I feel like
My daughter.
Bokey is like a safety, like just like a covering around all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, that's the sense that I get from being an outsider looking in, right?
Do you want to meet another Bokey?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, let's get
Give
it.
me 1
Yes.
second.
So listen, I love this. This is impromptu. We have another Bokey coming in here to talk to us. We have Commissioner Britton's daughter coming in here to jump on camera with us.
So,
and you know, I'm not one to do a lot of editing, guys. I love to do things like this. Come on, no, come on inside. Come on.
this is my amazing,
Hello.
my amazing daughter Kiya.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm
Nice
Kiya.
to meet you, Kiya. So this episode today, this is actually the first episode it's called "What Does Bokey Mean to You?" And I wanted your mom to be the very first guest on the show. So she's been sharing about look at you. And listen, she's Mrs. Bokey.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were just talking about the hard part of what happened in Sanford with Trayvon Martin. So we're kind of getting past that. But from another generation, another Sanford girl, another Bokey girl, what does Sanford mean to you? Because she said you're gonna say something completely different from what she said.
Yeah, but I'll just kind of like introduce her
Yes.
because she's like, you know, taking on the torch because
Gorgeous.
like last year Kiya had got involved with the MLK committee.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so the Martin Luther King Steering Committee has the big 3-day weekend festivities.
Yes.
It's one of the largest.
Which I finally got a ticket for this year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Listen, how, I don't know, but thank goodness I got a ticket. I'm trying to get one since I moved here.
Well, Kiya was the mistress of ceremony last year with that, and she's the youngest member on the board for MLK.
Wow.
And so even though she went away to school and got her degree in business, she still wants to be involved with the city of Sanford. And while I was raising my daughters and, you know, being a mom and working, the girls will come to commission meetings with me as well. So they understand government. I mean, I have this little video of them, you know, saying, girls, who's your mayor? Who's your city commissioner? Who's your, you know, so on and so forth.
that.
And they've all, you know, known about that. So when I talk about Bokey and when I talk about Sanford, my love of Sanford, it goes to the next generation. And so what I think of Bokey is different from what Kiya may think because she grew up at Seminole High School with where they had Bokey on the back of their jersey. So
everything. So what does Bokey mean to you, Kiya?
Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me on here. I was just stopping by. But Bokey is home to me. It means family and it means community. Those two things.
Okay.
Growing up with my mom being the commissioner and working for the city of Sanford, we've always known who are our community leaders. We're knowing who is in charge of making sure that
you have one in your house.
Right. But that's so important.
And your grandparents. And your grandparents. I mean, you know, they're serving the community, you know, in church and working for the city. So you were right there.
Absolutely. One thing that sticks with me for Sanford is there's a poster that we put everywhere. I live in Sanford, I work in Sanford, I play in Sanford.
Yes.
That's what I think of. It is a place for you to grow within your family, within the community, and it has afforded me a lot of different opportunities. Me joining the MLK committee, I mean, it wasn't just for me, it was because I wanted to see the growth of bringing back those traditions and those morals that we have within our community. It's so much fun.
Yes.
I enjoy the city because they put on so many awesome events.
Oh gosh, I love it.
The development.
It's always something going on in Sanford.
It's always something going on, and it's for all ages. Me and my sisters, we used to love going downtown just to see the farmers market or you know, a play at the Ritz or something like that. So it is an amazing city, and I really just love the community standpoint. There's always somebody that I know. Everyone is family around here.
So because I was asking your mom, because she's not planning on leaving here, I said, why do your daughters want to come back? Why are they back here? Like, you know, you're done with school. You're still doing some more. But what is it that's making you stay here?
It's home.
It's home.
It's home. That's as simple as I can put it. I mean, I literally look at how beautiful it is out today.
I know.
You just want to go walk the street. You want to see what's going on. You want to meet some new people. it's just so innovative. I love it's on.
It's like Cheers. Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name.
Exactly.
You know.
So we were just talking about some of the things that's impacted Sanford, that's given it this negative, thing. So we know Trayvon's thing was one of the biggest. What's some of the things that you've heard growing up that made people say, "Oh, you live in Sanford"?
They would say it's nothing to do.
Okay.
Like when I'm in school, I'd be like, I'm from Sanford. They'd be like, who's from Sanford? Little Orlando? No, it's Sanford.
Yes.
So I would just say maybe one thing that we could do is just grow our name.
Yeah.
Show people that we are not just a small city. We are community based. We have events. We have great people in this community. So I would just say just expanding our network.
Yeah. So Bokey, so she explained it from the historical standpoint, because she's like a little history book over
Yeah.
here. So and she's in the history books, which is amazing, right? Because that was just incredible. But so when you hear Bokey, what does that mean to you? I mean, besides home, because for me, I think I shared with your mom that when I heard it, I thought it was something negative. Because somebody said it to me like, oh, Bokey, and I'm like, okay, what does that mean? And I started asking questions, and I started getting more endearing responses from it, because it's our slang.
Yeah, right.
But yet it's grown to all these different communities.
It's our slang, it's our culture. Like it's just as Bokey'd up, you
Yeah.
know.
Okay, something new.
That's
all the hashtags probably for today.
I got Bokey from Seminole High School.
Okay.
Everybody was like, oh, like you said, the jerseys were Bokey, and it just give you that pride to be a part of Bokey, that orange and black, or that's how I look at it. But it's family, it's community, everything that I've said before.
So are you having to live up to a lot of standards? You have a grandmother and grandfather who were big pillars in the community. Your grandmother still is. She's a very powerful force. I was telling your mom, your mother, getting the position that she got, not only that, giving up something to gain something else. So how does that feel, living up to that as a Bokey girl?
Honestly, it's not a lot of pressure. Today in church, I just came from church, what we learned is, why settle when God has so much more in store for you? So when I see my mom and I see my grandma, and I've seen that they have reached higher heights than I've ever been able to see, it's like, why settle? I'm not gonna do that. So it doesn't make me nervous. It doesn't like, oh, your mom's the commissioner, your grandma's the overseer, what you gonna do next? I'm not gonna settle.
Yes, I'm not gonna
That's
settle.
what I'm gonna do. And it inspires me, it motivates me. I'm literally a mini Sheena on my campus. Literally, I find my ways to put my own little touch and spin into Cookman, and it becomes my own little Bokey. So
do you want to be in city government?
Absolutely. Whether it's within an organization or actually working for the government, I do feel like that's my niche. I love seeing change, and I love being a difference or a change maker. So I think that would be something that I'd be interested in.
I'm voting for her. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to see her on the street. I'm like, oh, Bokey. I love it. It makes me feel even more happier to live here. I love that you have all these generations of women in your family still alive, and still living, and they're all back home here in Sanford. So that has to give you a lot of pride.
It does.
What's some of the most positive things you've seen happen in Sanford in Bokey since you've taken office, and just in the past even 2 years? Because you've been a big part of the infrastructure and development. Because we got a Publix, thank God. Thank God. That was crazy, driving all the way to Lake Mary to get food, or all the way to the other side of Sanford.
It's going to sound weird, but the thing that I've seen the most, that I'm most proud of, is the knowledge. Yes, we've grown in development. Yes, we have the malls, and which that's kind of dying off. We've got brand new businesses. We're becoming the brew city. We have lots of events. But it's more, what I'm proud of is the knowledge of things like the Citizens Academy, where residents are now finding out what it is to live here, what it takes to live here, how far my tax dollars go. Using social media as an avenue to ask questions about government. It's no longer just there's a mayor and the city commission. No, I can come to the commission, I can be a part of the process as well. I can go to Citizens Academy and find out about waste services, about solid waste, about the water department, economic development services. I can find out why there's so much happening downtown and maybe not in my area, where I might just have that negative outlook, like, well, they're just doing everything downtown but not here. When you go there, you find out, okay, well, there's community partners is public-private partnerships.
Yeah.
There are grants and aids. And then you can say, okay, well, how can I take this to my city? How can, I go to Tallahassee and advocate for, small subdivisions, to be a tree city? You can be a part of the process as well. So although, we have, hotels, and our Orlando Sanford International Airport is expanding, and we've got leadership. We're seeing more African Americans in leadership in the city of Sanford than you've seen in our history.
Yeah.
The knowledge that the community has, and also understanding that it is about the people first.
Yeah.
That has been something that I have not seen in, of course, when I was a kid, I didn't care about it. Yeah. But I'll say in the last 20 years of me being an adult, I've learned that I can be a part of the process. I can be a part of change, and I can help shape to where Sanford is going. Yes, I love growth. Yes, I love that now we don't just have, the MLK weekend, we also have Juneteenth. Yeah. I'm loving that people are coming, from the Panhandle all the way from South Florida to our 4th of July spectacular. Yeah. I love all of that. But what's so important to me is community, is neighbors helping neighbors. And I said this to you before, Farrah, I'm not a politician. I'm a neighbor that represents neighbors. And so I love to sit down with residents, with visitors, with, people who are coming to try to invest into Sanford, and helping them to understand how government operates. Having a one-on-one conversation with you, and you say, well, you know what, Commissioner Rena, I love that I'm on celery, but there's so much development that's happening here. I'm nervous about that. Yeah. And then I can come back and tell you, well, I don't have the power to tell someone that they can't develop here. Yeah. That's hard.
The assumption that we have is, living here.
Right, right. So now people are getting a better understanding, a grasp of what can actually happen in Sanford, what can actually be done. And now people are saying, well, how can I help you be better? How can I help you help prepare for a better future for tomorrow? And so it's just that knowledge.
I love it. My beautiful Bokey. I'm not going anywhere. I'm so excited. Taking the girl out of Brooklyn and putting her into Bokey, because I'm a Brooklyn girl at heart. But thank you so much, Commissioner Britton. This was such a great episode. And listen, I know that some of you want to be on this show. You can even recommend some people, because I did ask Sheena to let me know who else should I interview from this area, because I would love to hear your stories. I want people to love Sanford just as much as I do, and I want them to learn more about the history of Sanford, because there was so much history that we talked about today, your family and how they came here and everything. And so if you want to share your story, please get in contact with me. If you want to follow Sheena, I'm going to have all her platforms in here. Mrs. Bokey, you will see her around the city, okay? There's a lot that's going on. Kayla, I'm going to see you coming back and doing some business here.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what is your major?
Business. I'm studying for my master's.
So do we know yet what you want to get into? Like, we got to get a store set up for you down here, an office. What are we trying to do?
Honestly, right now I'm in the marketing and management field.
Wow.
So I would love to go wherever that can take me. Yes. Management can go in many different branches.
Yes.
So I'm just looking and learning right now.
Listen, look out for Kayla, guys.
Kiya.
I'm saying Kayla. Look out for Kiya, because Kiya's going to be doing some big things. I can see it. I can feel it. But thank you so much. Listen, what does Bokey mean to you? City of Sanford, a small city with a big heart. Watch out for the next episode. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you. Well, that was right on time.
Hey, did you enjoy our very first episode of What Does Bokey Mean to You? Sanford, a small city with a big heart. Thank you, Commissioner Sheena, for sharing all of that rich history. And thank you to our surprise guest, Kiya. Listen, if you want to be on one of these episodes, we would love to hear from you. Hit me up on one of my many platforms. They'll be in the description box. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. We want to hear from you. Until next time.